Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing something a bit different than usual, and that is this anamorphic lens right here from Siri. It is called the Siri Saturn 35mm T 2.9 anamorphic lens. I am super excited because I always wanted to try out an anamorphic lens, but now that I got this bad boy in my hands, look at this freaking lens right here. So freaking tiny. This lens is a full frame lens with a 1.6 times squeeze factor. Now, I've had experiences with Siri lenses in the past before. I've used the Siri Nightwalker Cine lens, and I thought the build quality from those lenses were outstanding. Siri puts out lenses that are of high quality build, and this lens is no exception. When I got this lens out of the box, I was thinking that this lens was going to be a bit heavier, but surprisingly, it's quite light, weighing around 1,400 grams. It's all metal construction, but the front part of the lens is made with this carbon fiber design, which I think gives this lens a very unique aesthetic. The aperture ring has a smooth resistant. It starts from T2.9 all the way to T16, and coming from the Nightwalker lens Cine lens, where the aperture rotation was a bit loose for my liking, this one is harder to knock off into place. So I do like that because it has a little bit more resistance than the Nightwalker Cine lens. I much prefer the resistance on the Saturn. There's no electronic contact on this lens. This is a fully manual lens. This lens has a 58mm filter thread size, so it's not a big lens at all. This lens does feel very well made, and it feels very premium, and the size and the form factor makes this a great pairing to put on gimbals, cars, and I hear you can put this on drones as well. What's so special about anamorphic lens? Well, if you want your videos to look cinematic, you would want to shoot with an anamorphic lens. Some of the characteristics of an anamorphic lens is having a wide aspect ratio, usually 2.8 to 1, instead of faking in those black bars by adding it in post. Another cinematic look is the J.J. Abrams blue lens flare, and as well as the oval bokeh balls. These are some characteristics you have probably seen in Hollywood films at some point. It's everywhere. And speaking of flares, the Saturn does have two options you can choose from. You can either pick up the blue flares and get that sci-fi J.J. Abrams look for your film, or the neutral flare look, the one that I opted to review. I think many of you guys would choose the neutral flare as well. With the neutral lens flare, it will flare that color of the light, which I find to be more useful than having blue flares all the time. Unless your name is J.J. Abrams, who can use blue lens flare whenever he wants. I don't care if he's directing a Hallmark movie or a laundry detergent commercial or even his daughter's quinceañera. That dude gets a pass. But for regular scrubs like us, there's a time and a place for them blue lens flares. In the beginning, if you're shooting with this lens, you're going to notice your image is going to look all distorted and warpy. Well, that's because that's how it comes in. I know with Sony cameras and Fuji cameras, there isn't a de-squeeze feature in their camera, so you're going to need to hook it up to an external monitor that has de-squeeze anamorphic function, such as the Atomos Ninja. Otherwise, you will be recording your footage and it's going to look all janky on the back of your LCD screen. Luckily for me, I have the S5 II, and they do have some anamorphic de-squeeze built in, so I can have this corrected right away to see what my footage looks like. And let's talk about the footage. I think it's awesome for the most part. This is my first time actually reviewing an anamorphic lens, and I really dig the look. Again, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm just a dude that is very passionate about photography, and as a byproduct, I get to try out all these cool lenses and bring my findings to you guys. And I absolutely love the footage that I'm getting. Everything just looks super cinematic. The footage that I got had a clean look to them, and I find the image to have some decent sharpness at T2.9. You're not going to get crazy bokeh because of how wide this lens is. Even though this lens says that it's a 35mm lens, once it's stretched out, it looks more like a 21mm. A con that I have about this lens is the minimum focusing distance. It's pretty shit. Minimum focusing distance is 90 centimeters or 3 feet, and that's a big no-no for me. For such a wide focal length, I should have been able to get in a lot closer. And that's why you won't be able to get close to blow out the background in order to get some of that background blur, that bokeh. So what I recommend you guys do is buy a set of diopters if you want to get close with this lens. That's what I did here, and once you screw it onto the lens, you're able to get closer than before, and your ability to get creative shots will increase because of this. And the last con I have about this lens is that the warping that it does on each side of the frame. You're only going to notice this if you have vertical lines in your shots, such as buildings and architectures or doors. You're going to start noticing the side of the edges to have this bowing effect, which I find to be distracting. So who is this lens for? This is for the budget filmmakers out there that is curious about the anamorphic lens. We gotta give Siri a shout out for starting this budget anamorphic lane for people to get anamorphic lens for an affordable price. Just think about it. For some reason, Hollywood anamorphic lenses are freaking expensive. Just take a look at this Cooke 32mm anamorphic lens. This thing costs almost $30,000. Holy fuck, dude. That's That's how you know they mean business. But yeah, Siri is coming out with an affordable anamorphic lens for filmmakers, video creators that want to dabble in anamorphics. This lens is coming in at $12.99 USD, which is not bad comparing the lenses Hollywood uses for their films. So it's like at a fraction of the price. You get to experience the lens and get that cinematic look for the fraction of the price. This lens comes in a Sony E mount, Fuji X mount, the RF mount, and as well as the DL mount and also the L mount, the one that I am using for this review. If you're interested in this lens, I'll leave the links to them down in the description below, and Siri is hooking you guys up. If you guys use my coupon code TONGUE, you'll get an additional 5% off your checkout. I want to give a special thanks to Siri for providing me with this lens in order for me to make this review for you guys. If you find this video helpful, consider subscribing to my channel where I do gear reviews and photography tutorials. But yeah, I'm going to put this back to you guys. What are your thoughts on the Siri anamorphic lens? Do you guys have one? Do you guys use it? Let me know down in the comments section below. And as always, my name is Tongue. I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Okay, bye.